There is a moment every empath reaches. A moment when something inside them does not bend anymore. Does not forgive anymore. Does not make excuses anymore. It is not the first disappointment. Not the 10th. Not even the 100th. It is the final one. The one that breaks something that cannot be repaired. You never thought you would reach this moment. You believed your capacity for understanding was infinite. That your ability to see the good in people was unshakable. That your willingness to give one more chance was limitless. You thought that being an empath meant you would always be able to feel compassion, even for people who hurt you repeatedly. But you were wrong. And the moment you discovered you were wrong changed everything. The final disappointment does not look different from all the others. It is not bigger or more dramatic or more painful. On the surface, it looks like every betrayal that came before it. The same broken promise. The same empty apology. The same pattern you have forgiven 100 times hoping this time would be different. But something inside you responds differently this time. Not with the familiar hurt that you have learned to absorb. Not with the anger you have learned to swallow. Not with the hope that sustained you through every previous disappointment. This time, there is nothing. Just a cold, clear recognition that you are done. This is the empath's breaking point. And what happens after it is not what anyone expects. You have spent your life being the person who always understands. Who always sees both sides. Who always finds a way to empathize even with people who show no empathy toward you. You have been the one who stays when everyone else leaves. Who forgives when everyone else walks away. Who gives people the benefit of the doubt long after they have proven they do not deserve it. This has been your identity. Your purpose. Your way of moving through the world. You believe that your capacity to keep loving people through their worst moments was your greatest strength. That your refusal to give up on people was what made you special. But the final disappointment teaches you something you were not ready to learn. That some people do not deserve your understanding. That some patterns cannot be forgiven into changing. That some relationships are not worth the cost of maintaining them. And the moment you learn this, the moment you accept it fully, you break. Not in a way that destroys you. In a way that sets you free. Carl Jung taught that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. The empath who reaches their breaking point has to accept something about themselves that terrifies them. That they have limits. That their compassion is not infinite. That they are capable of reaching a point where they simply stop caring about someone they once loved deeply. This realization feels like failure. Like you have become hard. Like you have lost the thing that made you who you are. You look at your own indifference towards someone you once would have done anything for, and you barely recognize yourself. But Jung would tell you that you have not lost yourself. You have found yourself. The real you. Not the performance of endless empathy you maintained out of fear, but the authentic person beneath that performance who has needs and limits, and the capacity to protect themselves. The final disappointment is the death of your false self. The version of you that believed love meant tolerating the intolerable. The version that thought empathy required self-sacrifice. The version that stayed in situations that were destroying you because leaving felt like giving up. That version dies at the breaking point. And what emerges in its place is someone you have never met before. You remember the moment it happened. Maybe it was another late-night conversation where they made promises they would never keep. Maybe it was another crisis where you dropped everything only to realize they would never do the same for you. Maybe it was another moment of being taken for granted by someone you had given everything to. Whatever the specific moment was, you felt something shift. Not gradually. Instantly. Like a switch flipping inside you. And suddenly, the person you had been bending yourself into shapes for no longer mattered. Their approval no longer felt necessary. Their presence in your life no longer felt valuable. Their potential to change no longer felt relevant. You were simply done. Completely. Irrevocably. Done. And the strangest part was how calm you felt. You expected tears. You expected pain. You expected the familiar ache of loss. But instead, there was just clarity. Just the quiet certainty that you had finally, after all this time, reached your limit. And there was no going back from it. This is what happens after the final disappointment. You do not collapse into grief. You do not rage against the injustice. You do not try to make sense of why they kept disappointing you. You simply stop engaging with the question entirely. Because the breaking point is not just the end of your tolerance for one person. It is the end of your tolerance for an entire way of being. For the version of yourself that stayed too long, forgave too easily, hoped too desperately. For the belief system that told you that giving up on people made you a bad person. The breaking point teaches you that giving up on yourself to maintain a relationship with people who do not value you is what actually makes you complicit in your own destruction. Jung believed that consciousness is painful. But it is also the only path to freedom. The empath who reaches their breaking point becomes conscious in a way they have never been before. Conscious of how much they have tolerated. Conscious of how little they received in return. Conscious of the patterns they ignored because acknowledging them would have required action they were not ready to take. But now you are ready. Not because you have become strong enough, but because you have become tired enough. Tired of the performance. Tired of the excuses. Tired of the hope that sustained you through disappointment after disappointment, only to be proven wrong again and again. The breaking point is not when you stop loving people. It is when you finally start loving yourself more than you love the idea of who they could become. You thought reaching this point would feel like hardness. Like you had lost your empathy. Like you had become cynical or bitter or closed off. But it does not feel like any of those things. It feels like relief. Relief that you no longer have to carry the weight of someone else's potential. Relief that you no longer have to make excuses for behavior that does not deserve excuses. Relief that you no longer have to betray yourself to maintain a relationship with someone who never valued what you were giving. The breaking point breaks you open, not down. It cracks open the shell you have been living in. The performance you have been maintaining. The identity you built around being the person who never gives up. And what pours out is not bitterness or anger or pain. It is truth. Pure, undeniable, liberating truth. The truth that you deserve better. The truth that you always deserve better. The truth that tolerating less than you deserve does not make you noble. It makes you complicit in your own diminishment. This truth is what remains after the final disappointment. After the breaking point. After the version of you that would have stayed dies and the version of you that is willing to leave is born. You are different now. And you will never be the same again. The days after the breaking point feel surreal. You keep expecting the familiar pull to return. The urge to reach out. The impulse to check on them. The automatic concern about how they are doing without you. But none of it comes. There is just silence where all that noise used to be. And the silence is not empty. It is full of something you have not felt in years. Peace. Not the fragile peace you had to constantly maintain by managing everyone else's emotions. Not the temporary peace that lasted only as long as no one needed anything from you. But real peace. The kind that exists because you are no longer at war with yourself. Because you are no longer choosing other people over your own well-being. Carl Jung taught that what we do not make conscious emerges as fate. For years, your fate was to be disappointed by the same people in the same ways. Because you never made conscious the pattern beneath it. The pattern where you kept hoping that this time would be different. That this apology would be real. That this promise would be kept. That this person would finally see your value and stop taking you for granted. But the breaking point forced you to make it conscious. To see the pattern clearly. To accept that nothing was going to change because nothing had ever changed. That you were not dealing with people who were struggling to do better. You were dealing with people who were comfortable with how things were. And you finally became uncomfortable enough to leave. This is what happens after the final disappointment. You stop waiting for people to become who you need them to be. You stop believing in potential that exists only in your mind. You stop investing in futures that will never arrive. You simply accept what is. And what is has always been unacceptable. The people who disappointed you will not understand what happened. They will reach out expecting the same response they always got. The same understanding. The same forgiveness. The same willingness to give them another chance. But they will be met with something they have never encountered from you before. Boundaries that do not bend. Statements that do not soften. Distance that does not close. And a version of you that no longer cares whether they understand or approve or change. This indifference terrifies them. Because your caring was the foundation of their access to you. Your empathy was the tool they used to maintain a relationship that benefited them without requiring anything real from them. Your hope was the reason you kept coming back no matter how many times they let you down. But all of that is gone now. And they do not know how to relate to the person you have become. Jung believed that the meeting with oneself is one of the most unpleasant things that can be avoided. You have had that meeting. In the moment of the final disappointment, you met yourself. Not the version you have been performing, but the real you. The one who has been screaming beneath the surface for years. The one who was tired and angry and done long before you were ready to admit it. That version of you has taken control now. And it is making decisions the old you never would have made. You are cutting people off without explanation. You are walking away from relationships you once would have fought to save. You are saying no to requests that used to be automatic yes. You are protecting your peace with a fierceness that surprises even you. And the guilt you expected to feel is not there. Or if it is there, it is drowned out by something stronger. The certainty that you are finally doing what you should have done years ago. The breaking point changes your relationship with empathy itself. You do not lose your empathy. But you stop offering it indiscriminately. You stop believing that everyone deserves your understanding. You stop making empathy a performance you give to anyone who asks. Instead, empathy becomes something you choose. Something you offer deliberately to people who have earned it through consistent respect and genuine reciprocity. Something you protect by refusing to give it to people who have proven they will weaponize it against you. This selective empathy feels wrong at first. You have been taught that real empaths feel for everyone. That withholding empathy from anyone for any reason makes you less empathetic. But Jung would tell you this is backwards. That empathy without discernment is not a gift. It is self-destruction. The empath who feels for everyone equally is the empath who has no energy left for the people who actually deserve it. Who cannot be fully present for genuine relationships because they are depleted by false ones. Who cannot protect the people they love because they are too busy protecting people who do not love them back. After the breaking point, you learn to conserve your empathy. To direct it toward people and situations where it will be valued. To stop bleeding it into relationships that treat it like garbage. And the people who took your empathy for granted panic. Because they realized that what they thought was unconditional was actually just unexamined. That you were not giving freely. You were giving compulsively out of a belief system that no longer controls you. Jung taught that people will do anything to avoid facing their own soul. The people who disappointed you will do anything to avoid facing what your breaking point reveals. That they have been taking advantage of you. That they never value what you were giving. That the relationship was extractive and one-sided and built entirely on your willingness to accept less than you deserved. They will try to make you the problem. They will say you have changed. That you are not as understanding as you used to be. That you have become cold or harsh or unforgiving. And every single one of these accusations is a confession that they preferred you when you were destroying yourself for them. Let them think you have changed. Let them call you cold. Let them tell everyone that you are not the person you used to be. Because they are right. You are not that person anymore. That person was slowly dying. And the breaking point saved your life by killing the version of you that was willing to tolerate the intolerable. What happens after the final disappointment is a complete restructuring of how you exist in the world. You stop seeking approval from people who never approved of you. You stop explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you. You stop hoping for change from people who are comfortable exactly as they are. And in the space where all that seeking and explaining and hoping used to be, something new grows. Self-respect. Boundaries. Clarity about what you will and will not accept. A life that is actually yours instead of a performance designed to keep everyone else comfortable. Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. The breaking point is when you finally claim that privilege. When you stop being who everyone needs you to be and start being who you actually are beneath all the accommodation and performance and endless, exhausting empathy. Who you actually are is not endlessly forgiving. You have limits. Who you actually are is not always understanding. Some behavior does not deserve understanding. Who you actually are is not available to everyone. Your presence is a gift that should be given to people who honor it. The final disappointment taught you this. And what happens after is a life built on this foundation. A life where you are no longer the person who stays when they should leave. Who forgives when they should walk away. Who hopes when they should accept reality. You are the person who left. Who walked away. Who accepted reality even when it hurt. And on the other side of that leaving, that walking, that accepting, you discover something you never expected. You discover that you are okay. More than okay. You are lighter. Clearer. More yourself than you have been in years. The weight you have been carrying is gone. Not because the people who disappointed you are gone. But because the version of you that would have carried them forever is gone. That version died at the breaking point. And you are not mourning it. You are celebrating the space it left behind. The space that is finally, completely yours. Jung believed that what we call the beginning is often the end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The final disappointment was the end of who you used to be. And what happens after is the beginning of who you are becoming. Someone who knows their worth. Someone who protects their peace. Someone who understands that the breaking point was not the moment you broke. It was the moment you finally became strong enough to stop breaking yourself for people who never valued what you were giving. You thought the breaking point would destroy you. But it saved you. It freed you from a prison you did not even know you were in. A prison built from your own empathy weaponized against you by people who never deserved access to it. And now you are free. Not free from empathy. But free to choose where it goes. Who receives it. What it costs you. And most importantly, free to withhold it from anyone who has proven they will abuse it. This is what happens after the final disappointment. Not bitterness. Not hardness. Not the loss of your empathy. But the birth of something you never had before. Sovereignty. Over your own life. Your own energy. Your own heart. And the absolute certainty that you will never again give your power away to people who only use it to keep you small. The breaking point broke you free. And you are never going back.